guys, I've got my Sephora VIB sale recommendations today. So many of you have been asking me for this video. It's just taken me a while to kind of get my thoughts together and just, you know, figure out how I wanted to format this video. So I thought I would try something different this time. I think I've done like top 15 or top 20 recommendations in the past. I've also just kind of talked about each category, like foundations I would recommend. But I thought what I would do is kind of pick out some of my favorite brands that Sephora carries, and then within each brand, kind of talk about my favorite things there. I feel like during the VIB sale, it's the time when a lot of people want to re-up on a lot of their favorites. And I think it's a time when people want to try out like higher priced items because you get a discount. So I'm going to have details with like dates and everything down below in the description box, but I do know that it starts for Rouge members on Friday the 26th. I'm not exactly sure when I'll be posting this. It's probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to post this on Thursday the 25th. But anyway, I know it starts on the 26th, and then like VIB joins in and then Insider joins in. I also know that Rouge is at 20%. I believe VIB is 15 and Insider maybe is 10. Not exactly sure, but again, it's down below in my description box. I'll also have all the products that I'm going to list down below in my description box because this is going to be a really long video, so let's get comfortable. I even have my Yeti of water here. Because of my allergies, I've been losing my voice, so hopefully that won't happen in the middle of this video. But let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, I have the Sephora app pulled up on my phone, so I apologize if I'm like looking down a lot because I feel like sometimes I talk about things from a brand that I know Sephora carries, but for some reason Sephora doesn't have that like one specific product. So anyway, I thought I would talk about Tom Ford first. Let's just get Mr. Ford out of the way. So one of the things that I absolutely love from the latest Soleil collection is the new bronzer. And I have hauled and talked about and demoed for you guys Gold Dust. And it is a much softer, more powdery formula than the Ultimate Bronzer, which is the predecessor to this, and then the original, like just regular pressed powder. This one's just softer and it's creamier. But I find as long as I don't stab the product, if I like swipe my brush over it kind of gently, I don't get all that kick up. So this is Gold Dust, and I liked this so much that I just went out and purchased Terra as well. So let me just hold up these two together. So I've always considered Terra to be the deeper bronzer versus Gold Dust, but it looks like Gold Dust is just like a warm version and Terra is like a neutral version. So I would highly recommend this formula. It goes on the skin so beautifully. I absolutely love it. I would also recommend any of his eye color quads. I just pulled out Coco Mirage because I feel like this is the one if you don't have any Tom Ford quads and you're just thinking about maybe getting one to start with, I would start with this one. This is just a great everyday, super wearable kind of quad. You'll love the formula. It's so smooth. It's so soft. It blends beautifully. And even though it looks quite boring, and even to me, someone who really loves the neutral everyday palette, it's just surprisingly beautiful on the eyes. It really just is an enhancer to what you already have. So I really love all of the quads, and it really kind of depends on what your taste is. But if you're looking for something kind of everyday and you've never used a Tom Ford quad, I would definitely recommend the Coco Mirage. And then the Traceless foundation stick. I have never ever been a foundation stick lover, and I like came across this one and another one that I really love, but this one is just beautiful on the skin. I feel like it lasts all day. I've also heard from people who have completely different skin types that it works for them also. I happen to have very dry skin, and I've always found that foundation sticks either end up like way too greasy looking or they're too thick and they end up being a little bit drying. But this one just goes on beautifully, it blends out easily, and it stays put all day. It's just a really beautiful foundation stick. I have it in the shade 1.5 cream. I absolutely love it, and if you're someone that travels often, the stick foundation is like a dream. You don't have to worry about bringing a bottle or bringing like a ton of little samples or decanting your foundation or anything like that. Travel's great. It's not a liquid product, so you can stick it in your carry-on. Highly recommend this foundation stick. So as you guys know, there's tons of other Tom Ford stuff that I could recommend, but I'm going to stop there. Let's move on to the next brand that I want to talk about. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. All right. Let's talk about NATASHA DENONA. First up, we have the Biba palette. I love this palette. I really just can't get enough of this palette. I had to force myself to put it away. I kept it on my vanity, but I closed it up and I like kind of just put it to the side, and I miss it. I'm definitely going to be going back to it soon. I just love this palette. I feel like you can create so many looks. I feel like it works for so many different skin tones. I feel like it works for so many different tastes. You have this like cool row down here, which I feel like really speaks to a certain crowd. And then you have the more like red based, warmer tone shadows up top. And it's just absolutely beautiful. They are NATASHA DENONA shadows. There's 3 different formulas in here: the matte, the metallic, and then the cream to powder formula, which is a little bit sheer, and I just love it. It makes for like a sheer, like watercolor type of application. I just love it. I love all of the shadows in here, all of the shades. I use them all regularly, and I love this palette. Like, I love the hard plastic. I love the big mirror inside. I love that the shadows can be popped out very quickly. Not that I've done that, but this has been like such a big winner for me. So I definitely recommend the Biba palette. Also, I have to recommend the gold palette. This palette is just fantastic. It's just so beautiful. And if you're not really in need of another neutral everyday kind of palette, you want something more fun, look no further. This is so much fun. Granted, you have to like gold. This is very gold. And she pretty much covers every single type of gold in here. We have like a greenish gold, a yellow, like 24 karat gold, a white ice gold, more of a typical, like we'll say 18 karat gold. I mean, just every kind of gold is in here. And I personally love gold. And I just think this palette is so beautiful. And then she has a bunch of like complementary mattes here. It's stunning. So if you're looking for like a more fun, maybe like evening type of palette, I would try the gold palette from NATASHA DENONA. And then I had to mention these guys. This is the camel palette, and then this is the mini nude palette. I absolutely love these, and I was using this like every day for a while when I first got it. I also took this on a bunch of trips with me. I took this on one trip with me. These are just great. If you're like a neutral lover like I am, these are just wonderful palettes. The quality of this mini nude palette and this camel palette are NATASHA DENONA quality. They're just really easy to use, and you can just create like just a nice polished eye look with either of these. Absolutely love these. And again, I feel like I'm cutting myself short because there's plenty of other NATASHA DENONA products that I can recommend, but I'm just going to end with this one. This is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette. I just love this palette. I love the size of it. It's so handy. It's sturdy feeling. This is definitely a compact that I don't feel like I'd be worried if I wanted to travel with it. And then inside you have 2 cream products and then 2 powder products. The cream products are protected with this plastic lid here. There's a nice mirror inside, and it's just beautiful. The products in here are really beautiful. I did a whole video dedicated to this. I'll try and remember to link it right up here or down below in my description box. But really just a lot of fun. I know that this shade looks very intimidating, but when you work it out and when you blend it out, it just has this really kind of like punchy, raspberry, pinky kind of tone to it. And it's just gorgeous. It makes for a beautiful base for like any of these other products. I really love this blush palette, and I've been using it quite a bit. All right, next up we have VISEART, and you guys know how much I love VISEART shadows. So the first one I want to mention is the Liaison eyeshadow palette. It's one of their 9-pen palettes, and it has this beautiful, like cool tone purple story to it. I actually lent it to a friend of mine. She was like, oh, you know, I'm not sure if I should get it. And I was like, you should get it. Here. I was like, take mine, use mine. You're going to fall in love and you're going to order your own. So she has it right now, and I think she is falling in love with it. But it is so beautiful. It really just, all the shadows perform really well. I love the color story. I think VISEART really like did this cool tone palette trend really well in this Liaison palette. And I just love it. It's a great size. Again, it's sort of like the NATASHA DENONA Bloom palette size. It's a little bit more square. So I think it's like really nice and compact for travel. And even though I feel like when you look at it, all you see are the bright purples and that like silver metallic shade in there. But if you focus on that top row, you can create actually a very kind of understated, everyday kind of look. And so I've taken this palette actually on a trip, and it worked out really, really well. When I didn't need like a really purple metallic look, I just focused on those 3 shades and it was great. So I highly recommend this Liaison palette. I also think this would just be a great time to take advantage of this sale and maybe take a look at the Grand Pro Volume 1 palette. This is just an absolutely beautiful palette of 30 different matte shades. The matte formula that VISEART has is just, oh, it's one of my favorites. It's so easy to work with. They're like a powder formula. You know, there's really nothing, I don't know, I don't want to say like complicated or confusing about them, because I'm sure a lot of time and effort has gone into this formula, but they're just easy to work with. They're not surprising. I don't feel like there's a learning curve when you work with their shadows. They're just really beautiful. And what I really love about VISEART shadows is you can really mix them together almost like paint to create a new color. And with a palette like this, you can create almost any color. Someone had asked me once if I could make a green out of here, and I'm like, well, maybe not green, because this is probably the most yellow color and this is the most blue. And if you wanted to mix those two, you could probably get a pretty dark foresty green there, but that's probably it. I don't think you could get like a sage color out of here. But I just really love this palette, and I feel like in the past I've always recommended the VISEART 12 pan neutral matte palette, which I love, and I would definitely recommend that as well. But I feel like ever since I got this, I've been reaching for this more when I feel like I would have reached for the neutral matte. And that's usually when I need like a filler shade. If I just want like a basic matte shade or something, I always think to VISEART and I always pull out this palette. And previously it was the neutral matte. So I highly recommend this palette. It's just beautiful. And it always makes me feel like I'm back to painting whenever I pull out this palette. It's just beautiful. If the Grand Pro palette, maybe it's just a little bit too much, you just don't like big palettes, you just never see yourself using it, I would definitely recommend one of these Petit Pro palettes. This is the first one that they came out with. So this is the most neutral, the one I would recommend for someone who maybe has never really used VISEART and they're just kind of curious about it, because you get 4 matte shadows and then 4 of their shimmer shadows. Their shimmers I know have received a lot of criticism in the past, but I really like them. They may not be like the most metallic in your face shimmers, but they're very, very beautiful, especially like in everyday life. They may not show up really brightly over a video camera or on Instagram or whatever, but in everyday life, they're absolutely beautiful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and I just love them. And I love this particular color story because I feel like it touches upon a lot of different colors in here. You can create a lot of different looks with such a small palette, and this is wonderful for travel. It is like pretty much like a business card size. So this is great. They have a lot of different varieties now of these Petit Pro palettes. I would recommend all of them. I like them all. The quality is there, but I would get one that kind of catches your eye. I would recommend any of them. Next, let's talk about Surratt Beauty. You guys know how much I love Surratt Beauty. So this may take a while because I'm probably going to recommend every single thing that they have at Sephora. But first, I just want to mention the lash curler. My absolute favorite lash curler. This is the one that I've been using for forever. It feels like I want to say at least 5 years now, and it's just great. It's perfect for my eye shape. Of course, I don't think this is going to work for everyone, obviously, but it is. I wonder if you guys can see, but the curve of the curler, it's just not quite as curved. It's a little bit flatter, and it just works for my eye shape beautifully. I also love the matte black finish to it. It's my favorite thing. So this is the lash curler from Surratt. Definitely recommend. And then I thought I would pull out some of my favorite Surratt brushes. Again, it was very difficult not to pull them all out. And historically, I think his brushes sell out very, very quickly during the sale because they are blue squirrel hair. They're handmade in Japan. So they're absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous brushes. If you've been tempted by it, now's the time to get it on sale. They're just amazing. So here is the face brush. It's so soft, but it's very large. It's egg shaped. So let me hold it up next to the Chikuhodo Z1 brush. It's almost identical. I feel like the Surratt bristles are just a little bit longer. I would also recommend the sculpting brush. This is basically like an angled cheek brush. It's just gorgeous. Again, incredibly soft, really beautiful. I was going to recommend the cheek brush, but I don't actually see it on the Sephora site. So if it pops up for whatever reason, I love the cheek brush as well. It just has like a really nice domed shape. This is squirrel hair, so I don't like to be too rough with the brushes. I think they work better in a sweeping motion. I think it's nice if you want to do some gentle buffing of your cheek products. So that's the cheek brush. Hopefully it'll pop up on the site for the sale. And then I also wanted to mention the smoky eye brush. This is such a unique brush. This actually reminds me of like a calligraphy brush. If you've ever done like Chinese calligraphy, the brush shape is like this, almost like flame shaped. Anyway, this brush, it took me a while to get used to this brush because these bristles are very soft, and because it comes to such a point, you really don't have a lot of like control at the tip. And so I just always felt like I was pressing too hard, and then, you know, you press hard and then you get to the fatter part of the brush. And I thought, well, you know, I'm losing the precision that I thought I was going to be getting with this tip. So what I have found for me personally, of course, you know, you'll find the way that you like to work with it. I like working with it on its side because I get all of these brush ends to help me blend out. And when I run it across some shadows, like the top edge of a shadow, and I just do this, it instantly turns it into a smoky look because it just blows out the edge so beautifully. If I apply shadow with this, the same thing. Like I get this really beautifully like blown out kind of application with this brush. And I love it. There definitely was a learning curve for me, but I really, really love it. I want to mention the Surratt Perfectionist Concealer Compacts, these palettes. I love these concealer palettes. Again, this is great for when I travel because I don't have to worry about a tube leaking or anything like that because that's happened to me. So I really, really enjoy this palette. The setting powder down here is flawless. And I know many people's concern was this powder kind of falling into this cream product in here. But because this powder is so fine, and I have no idea how it was created, but it's so fine and it's so soft, yet there is absolutely zero kick up when you use it. I use the large smoky eye baton for this. I just run it over this powder and then I like pat it over the concealer underneath my eye, and it's flawless. It's a beautiful powder and there's like no kick up. It's magical. I've always had not great luck with pan concealers. I find them to be really thick, which is kind of the point of them. They're thick, they're really high coverage, but the Surratt formula is so much more weightless, but the coverage is there. It wears well all day. This is a wonderful, wonderful concealer. And in fact, I have it in my mind that I like travel with this. So when I'm sitting here every day, I don't use it that often, but I need to pull this out because it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous concealer. So I have this in 2 and 3. Those are the 2 shades that I have. 2, I like the actual concealers in, and 3, I like this actual powder. So if you're my skin tone, I think either would actually work for you. It would just depend on whether you have a cooler skin tone or warmer skin tone. 3 if you have a warmer skin tone. So I definitely recommend these concealer palettes. And then last but not least, because I know we need to move on from Surratt, is some of my favorite lip products from him. I love the Prismatique lips. I have pretty much all the colors. This is a great kind of lip topper, or if you want to wear it by itself, but it does have a prismatic effect. It really gives some like beautiful dimension to your lips. Absolutely gorgeous. His Lip Luster lip glosses. This is another one. I think I have almost all of them. Just gorgeous. I love the texture. They're just a little bit tacky, but not too much, not by far. They feel great on the lips. They look great alone. They look great layered over lipstick. Really a beautiful product. And then his Lip Slick. These are just like that perfect lip product for me. They give your lips a little bit of something, but it's not too much. Like you can apply them without a mirror. They're the perfect like throw in your purse kind of lip product. Love these. Okay, next up we have Charlotte Tilbury. God, this is tough. So her pressed powder. Love it. I've mentioned this 1,000 times. I'm on the second one and I use it in the shade 1 Fair. It's just a weightless, super finely milled kind of powder. It's just beautiful. It has a matte finish. It sets your makeup down beautifully. I love it. The compact is beautiful. I love whipping this out when I need to. So definitely recommend the pressed powder, I think, along with everyone else on YouTube. I also really love her Hollywood Flawless filter. This is just, this is like a dry skin girl's dream. Although I think if you have any skin type, this would work for you. But when I first used it, the one thought I had when I first applied it was, oh my gosh, it's like pantyhose for my face. It really just kind of gives your whole face like a little bit of a filter, and then it has that kind of sheen, like, you know, when ice skaters wear pantyhose and it has like a little bit of a sheen to them. I swear, this is what Hollywood Flawless Filter is. It's like ice skater pantyhose for your face. I don't know how else to say it. I love it. I love it under foundation. I love it over foundation. I love it as like a highlighter if I just want to like add it to targeted areas. I think it's just beautiful. And of course, her infamous Film Star Bronze and Glow. These are just beautiful. Like, they're just the absolute perfect tone. They're just really neutral and beautiful, but they're not like so subtle that it's like a no makeup kind of situation. The sculpt has like a slight satin finish, absolutely no shimmer or anything like that, but it just is like a demi matte kind of satin finish. This highlight is the most perfect, like champagne sheen with like a little peachiness in there, like a little bit of warmth. Stunning. I absolutely love it. Of course, the packaging is really beautiful. So highly recommend this. And I'm sitting here flipping through all of the Charlotte Tilbury offerings, and there's just, I mean, there's so many. I feel like maybe it would be shorter if I talked about what not to get. Is that possible? Let me just pick out 2 more things and then we will move on. I don't know. This feels like kind of a lame thing to recommend because it's such a basic product, but her lip cheats. I love her lip liners. The Iconic Nude, it's just been like such a good friend to me. I love this lip liner. It helps cool down any warm tone lipsticks that I have if I want them to get cooled down a little bit. I love the texture of these lip cheats. They're not too creamy, but they're not too dry. It's like they're dry enough to kind of stay put and keep anything from feathering. I highly recommend these. And if this says anything, I have 7 of them, different colors. I just love it. Iconic Nude, I think, is the most neutral, works for everyone. Pillow Talk is like a little bit more pinky toned. Love Trap is like a cool tone color. It's a little bit deeper than Iconic Nude. I could go on and on, but they're all beautiful. I would just find a color that works for you, that speaks to you, and I think you'll just fall in love. This is going to be the last thing I mention. I'm going to cut it off here with Charlotte Tilbury, but the Hollywood Contour and the Beauty Light Wand, I love these. I think the packaging is a little funky with that sponge tip applicator. I also know people have complained about the amount of product you get in here, but for me, you don't need that much of either of these products. I just need like 3 dots on each side for either of these, and I get what I need out of that. And so these have lasted me a decent amount of time. This contour definitely is running low, but this highlight, it's another one. It's like the cream version of this Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. I feel like this is the cream version of that. The contour maybe is a little bit deeper, but beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you want a cream product that's just easy to use, I know the sponge tip applicator grosses some people out, but it really makes for easy application. So I'm a big fan of these. Okay, and now, of course, let's talk about Pat McGrath. I feel pretty comfortable in saying I just recommend everything. If anything catches your eye, just get it. I don't think you'll be disappointed, but I will tell you what some of my favorites are. I love her lip glosses. I love the texture of them. I love the very faint fragrance to them. None of them are very overpowering. And I love how none of them are overly pigmented or opaque in any way. They're all pretty sheer. And when it comes to lip glosses, I really love them to be sheer, because if I'm using an opaque lip gloss, I feel like it ends up looking really messy really quickly, or like I've put it on and I've eaten, like it has that kind of like messy look to it. And I don't like that. So these are the 3 that I just pulled out because I feel like I've been reaching for these the most. Flesh Astral, I've been reaching for the most for a very long time. But these 2 are new. The Bronze Venus, this was part of her like newer releases. I really love this. When I looked at it in the tube, I didn't think that I was, but it just looks so beautiful on the lips. Absolutely love it. And then this color, Future Femme, It's just a really pretty, delicate color that helps like add a really kind of like cool sheen, cool in tone, also cool effect, but cool in tone kind of sheen to your lips. And it's just been great when I have like a cool tone eye look on. I add this and it's almost like I can use any lip color as long as I add this right on top. It's just great. So that's Future Femme. And I love all of her eyeshadows, but I would take this opportunity to maybe check out one of her larger 10 pan palettes. And I have to say, I would recommend Bronze Seduction. I feel like this is just, it's just such a gem. It's really, really special. I probably reach for and use the first Mothership palette, the Subliminal palette, the most, just because it's very neutral in tone. I feel I can go in there and get a transition shade really easily, and get like a full, like pretty basic look very easily. But there's something really, really special about this Bronze Seduction palette. I think maybe this red is very seductive to me. Every time I open this up, I just stare at this for a long while. It's so beautiful. But you've got some really beautiful tones in here, and the textures in here are just really special. Like this is kind of like a pressed glitter. These are all of those fun bake shadows that Pat McGrath has in her larger palettes. And then this is like a glittery shade. This is like a satin shade, and then these are mattes. So you just get a really nice array of different colors, tones, and formulas, which I think is great. And I like her 6-pan palettes. I think they're beautiful, but there's something really special about her 10-pan palettes, and I think it's the fact that she has these like baked shadows over here. So I would take a serious look at these. They're just really, really special, and I really enjoy using these. And of course, I love her Luxe Trance lipsticks. Oh, they're beautiful. All the colors are really beautiful. The formula is so pigmented. They go on one swipe. They're like of a thicker formula, so they really stay put on your lips, even though they are a cream formula. And I just have Donatella sitting out here. So this is Donatella, and I use this quite often. I have almost all of her Luxe Trance colors, and none of them disappoint. I don't feel like any one color doesn't perform as well as the other ones. They all perform really beautifully. Even the darker, richer tones, like one of my favorites is Leatherette. It's this really beautiful like mahogany brown color. So any of the Luxe Trance lipsticks from Pat McGrath, I would totally recommend. I have to mention Kogendo because I love their cleansing spa water. That is my first step in removing makeup at night. It's gentle, it doesn't irritate my eyes, it takes off waterproof makeup. It does such a good job. I absolutely love it. They have just, bottles of the actual cleanser, and then they also have wipes. And these wipes are amazing. So on Sephora, you can purchase a 3-pack of 10. So you get 30 wipes. And I love the wipes on the inside. They're really, really thick. And I take these when I go traveling. I only need one wipe to remove like 95% of my makeup. And with any other kind of wipe that I've tried, I'll go through 2 or 3. These are they're nice size, they're thick, they're sturdy. And I just start with like one corner of the wipe, and I slowly start to use like all of it, and then I'll flip it over, and then I'll use the other side, and it just does an amazing job with just one wipe. So I really, really enjoy these. And then one of my all-time favorite foundations is the Kogendo Aqua foundation. I use shades 113, which is this one, and 123, which is just a little bit deeper. They're beautiful. The texture is beautiful. It has a very thin, watery consistency, but there's a decent amount of coverage, and it stays on all day. It really has beautiful lasting power, and I love it. The finish is absolutely beautiful. And with that, I love the Natural Lighting Powder. This is the loose powder that I've been using pretty much nonstop for a very long time, ever since I got this, maybe a couple months ago. It is a beautiful, beautiful setting powder. It has just the slightest bit of radiance, the slightest bit of a satin finish, just so your skin looks like skin and it doesn't look too matte. It's beautiful, and I just love it. There's like no fragrance to it. It's basically translucent, but there's just the slightest bit of pigment, so it's just really perfecting on the skin. It really blurs. It's just a gorgeous powder. I love this. So definitely recommend those 4 things from Kogendo: the cleansing spa water, the cleansing spa water wipes, the Aqua foundation, and the Natural Lighting Powder. All right, and a few things from La Mer. You guys know that I really enjoy their moisturizers. I highly recommend them. I know it's a very polarizing topic. I feel like people either love or hate La Mer in terms of their skincare, but I really love the moisturizing soft lotion. I would recommend that. I also really like the tonic, which is their toner. I love that. I use that morning and night. But in terms of makeup, I really, really do love their foundation. This is a foundation that has a bit of a high coverage for me in my collection. I think in the general scheme of things, it's really only kind of like a medium. I think it can be built up to like a medium full. When I am, you know, maybe going out at night, or I'm going to be out all day, or I really want to look like super flawless and like a fully beat face, I will use the La Mer, the Soft Fluid Foundation. I have it in shades 22, which is this one, neutral, and I reach for this one more often than 12, natural, which is what I also have. But if I'm feeling kind of high maintenance, I'll use 22 up here and 12 down here along my jawline, which is lighter than my forehead. So I really love this foundation, and I have dry skin, but I've heard that it works on like all kinds of different skin types, oily, combo, normal, dry, like everything. So I highly recommend this foundation. It's definitely one of my favorites. I also want to recommend their reparative skin tint. Now I know for a fact, because I've spoken to a lot of people that work at La Mer, that this is being discontinued. Yet it looks like Sephora got at least 3 of the shades in. I think there's 4 total. 3 of the shades in. I use shade Light 02. It has an SPF 30. And I love this product. And in fact, when I was in Sephora a couple months ago with the Glam Dr. Mona Khan, I saw like 1 box of light sitting out there and I just grabbed it. So I actually have a backup of this because I do know it's going out of stock, but maybe they're kind of just getting rid of everything that they have. And that's why it kind of popped up. But if you're looking for just like a really comfortable, light medium coverage, like tinted moisturizer kind of situation, or tinted SPF situation, I would recommend this without any hesitation. It's just really beautiful on the skin, very natural and very, very comfortable. So I love this. And I would also recommend their pressed powder. I think it is really beautiful. I have it in the shade Light 12, and it has like a little bit more to it than the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. It has a little bit more coverage, and I feel like it lasts a little bit longer than the Charlotte Tilbury. This lasts for me like throughout a normal day, just like a normal kind of like 8-hour, no crazy weather kind of day. This one has a little bit more like wear to it. So I would recommend this if you're looking for like a little bit more coverage and a little bit more longevity. And then last but not least, for La Mer, the powder brush. I really like this powder brush. It is super fluffy, as you can see. It looks like a gigantic microphone. And it's really soft. You guys know that I usually opt for natural hair brushes, but when it comes to face brushes, like big fluffy brushes, I really don't mind a synthetic. And this one is definitely one of my favorites. It just feels great on the skin. It applies product really, really evenly and smoothly. And I feel like it brushes away product and buffs in product really nicely. So I highly recommend this powder brush. All right, and now I have some like straggler kind of recommendations. They're from brands that I don't have like a lot of things that I want to recommend at this time. So I'm gonna start with NARS. I definitely recommend these 2 face palettes that just came out, the Summer Lights and the Hot Nights. So gorgeous, so beautiful. I have the Summer Lights on right now. Let me just show this to you quickly. And I just posted a review video on these, which I will try and remember to link up here if you're interested in taking a look. But here is the Summer Lights palette. It's really beautiful. It is a great daytime palette. And this Hot Nights palette is a great evening palette. It's just a little bit more dramatic. It has these like funner colors at the end there. This color at the end is incredibly pigmented. It is very, very dark. It works great as a liner. It works great just to add a little bit of dimension. I think if you wanted to do just a single color smoky eye, that would be great. It's very pigmented though, just a warning. If you have this palette or if you want to get this palette, just be careful with that shade. And then from Dior, this Air Flash Radiance Mist Primer and Setting Spray, Long Lasting Airbrush Radiance. I love this spray. I am not someone that is always like putting a setting spray on. It's just not something that I ever really got into until this guy. I love this setting spray because it does such a beautiful, like filtered blurring effect to your skin. It just really softens everything up. It's just gorgeous. And you can use it as a primer. I've used it as a primer. It's fine, but I really like it as a setting spray. And I'm definitely going to be getting another bottle of this myself. So I definitely recommend this Radiance Mist from Dior. I also want to recommend these Guerlain Meteorites. This is a beautiful, beautiful finishing powder for me. I like to use this with my Sonia G Face One brush, this flat top guy, and just buff this powder in kind of as a, well, last step or second to last step if I end up using a spray, but it just gives my skin like a beautiful finish. The meteorites on the inside, I know a lot of people have asked me this, they look a little bit glittery in there, and I know that causes a lot of concern for some people. I find that while I do end up with like a little bit of micro glitter on my face, most of it brushes away as you're buffing. So it's not something like you're gonna look like a glitter bomb or anything like that. It's a delicate sort of application of glitter, and I just really enjoy these, and I love the violet scent. It just makes me so happy. So the Guerlain Meteorites, recommend. I also wanted to mention these Hourglass number 28 lip oils. So this is a lip oil that Hourglass had in their lineup for a very long time. It was just a clear, straight up lip oil. And then they recently, maybe not so recently, maybe like 2 or 3 months at this point, they came out with tinted versions, and I got both Cameo and Icon. And this is a beautiful, like if you like a lip oil, this is a beautiful, beautiful lip oil. It's so, so conditioning. I purchased these when I was in New York, and I remember it got down to like, I don't know, -20 with wind chill. It was like 6 degrees or something like that. And this really saved my lips. This and a few other products, but this really saved my lips. And it just feels really great. And I like this applicator. It gets a little bit messy, but not too bad. I really enjoy it. So wanted to mention these. All right, I thought I would end this with a bang. Giorgio or Armani, the Power Stretchable Concealer. I love this concealer. It is so great. It's super lightweight. It lasts a long time. It has a nice like medium coverage, which is buildable. I just love it. It has not let me down. It stays all day, doesn't sink into my fine lines. Like all the things that you want to hear about a concealer, I can say about this concealer. I have it in the shade 3, and I've just really been enjoying it. And the other Armani product I love and have raved about, and I think this has shown up probably in my last VIB recommendations, but this is the Armani Lip Maestro. I have it in 3 colors. This one is 202. This is for me like the most everyday neutral kind of shade. It's just perfection. The formula is so unique. It goes on with like a moussey texture, and then it kind of dries down to like a velvety texture. It's so unique without being like too weird, if that makes any sense. It's just a really lovely lip product. So I wanted to mention that as well. Let me know down below in the comment section what some things are that you're going to be picking up. Also, let me know, or if you want, let me know what you think about this format. If you liked me talking about things by brand, sometimes that's just how I think about things. And I thought maybe it would be a little bit more easily digestible for you, because I know with these recommendation videos, I feel like people are just like throwing stuff out at you. But anyway, let me know down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video. Happy shopping!